Snowflakes drifted gently through the air, shimmering beneath the golden glow of New York's Christmas lights. The streets were alive with holiday cheer, families bundled in scarves and coats, couples laughing beneath strings of twinkling bulbs, children pointing excitedly at shop windows decorated with snowmen and reindeer. The black Range Rover pulled up near a quiet bus stop just a few blocks from the Rockefeller Christmas tree. Malcolm Ward stepped out first, tall and composed, his dark overcoat brushing against his crisp navy suit. He extended his hand, and a little black girl with natural curls jumped down into the fresh layer of snow. "Stay close, sweetheart," he said gently, adjusting her white knit hat. "We'll go see the big tree, then head home for Coco." "Okay, Daddy." Aaliyah beamed, holding his hand tightly. The city felt magical that night. Christmas Eve always did. But Malcolm's eyes were distant, as if the lights of the season could never quite reach him. It had been 2 years since he lost his wife, and though he tried his best to smile for Aaliyah, the hole in his chest never fully closed. They walked slowly past the glowing storefronts, Aaliyah chattering about Santa and how many cookies they should leave by the fireplace, but suddenly, she stopped. Her voice fell to a whisper. "Daddy, why is that lady sleeping there?" Malcolm turned to where Aaliyah was pointing, to the old wooden bench at the edge of the bus stop. There, curled up beneath the flickering bus route sign, was a young black woman. She looked barely 20. Her natural hair was messy, tangled with flakes of snow. She wore a pale, worn-out sweater that barely reached her elbows. In her trembling arms, she held something close to her chest. Malcolm stepped forward, squinting. It was a baby wrapped in a thin, frayed blanket. The infant lay still, cheeks red from the biting cold, tiny brown fingers poking out and trembling slightly in the wind. Malcolm's heart tightened. He instinctively reached for Aaliyah's hand to keep walking. They were just strangers after all. The city was full of stories you couldn't fix. But Aaliyah pulled back. "Daddy," she said again more firmly this time, eyes wide. "She has a baby. He's so little. Daddy, he's cold." Malcolm looked down at his daughter. Her small face was earnest, concern written in every innocent feature. For a moment he hesitated, his breath visible in the frosty air, mind swirling between logic and emotion. 2 years ago, Sarah would have already been kneeling beside the bench, offering help without hesitation. His late wife had possessed that rare quality of immediate compassion, one that didn't calculate risk or convenience, one that simply saw a need and responded. Aaliyah had inherited that same instinct, it seemed. Without a word, Malcolm slowly bent down and began to unwrap the soft red scarf from around Aaliyah's neck. She said nothing, just watched as her father stepped toward the sleeping woman. Kneeling beside the bench, Malcolm gently laid the scarf over the baby, careful not to startle either of them. The infant stirred slightly, lips moving in his sleep. Malcolm glanced up at the young woman. Her brown skin was pale, almost gray around the edges of her lips. Her arms clutched the child tighter, even in unconsciousness, as if instinctively guarding him. He reached out a hand and touched her shoulder lightly. "Miss," he said, voice low but urgent. "Miss, you can't stay out here tonight." She did not respond. Malcolm leaned closer, concern deepening. His voice broke just slightly. "Please wake up." The wind blew harder then, sending a chill through his spine. In the distance, a chorus of carolers could be faintly heard, singing Silent Night. And yet, nothing about this moment felt silent. He turned back briefly and saw Aaliyah watching him, not with fear, but hope. A memory flashed across his mind. Sarah in the hospital, her hand weak in his, whispering, "Promise me you'll show her how to be kind, Malcolm. Promise me you'll teach her that matters more than anything." He turned back to the young woman, still kneeling, determination settling into his features. Selena Price awoke in a jolt of panic. The cold hit her first, sharp and biting. Then came the fear. Her arms clutched the bundle against her chest. Her baby. Her eyes flew open. Snow was falling heavier now. Her back ached from the frozen bench. But what startled her most was the tall black man kneeling beside her, dressed in a tailored coat, holding something in his arms. Her baby. "No," she gasped, lunging forward. "Give him back." The man didn't flinch. His voice was steady and low. "He's freezing. You need to come inside." She tried to stand, her legs trembling. "I don't need your pity." Malcolm Ward studied her. Young, barely 20. Her natural hair was tangled and crusted with frost. Her lips cracked, her sweater stretched thin. But it was her eyes that held him, defiant, desperate, exhausted. The baby stirred weakly. Malcolm adjusted the scarf, his daughter's scarf, around the infant's small body. The child's skin was pale, his lips tinged blue. "I'm not offering pity," he said. "I'm offering warmth." Selena's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. People only help when they want something. I've learned that the hard way. A gust of wind cut through them. The baby let out a weak, wheezing cough, then another. Malcolm stood, holding the baby tighter. "You can come or not, but I'm not leaving him to freeze." For a moment, Selena didn't move. Her arms ached for her son. Every part of her screamed to grab him back, to run. But something in the man's eyes stopped her. They weren't cruel. They weren't suspicious. They were kind like a father. She took a hesitant step. "His name is Jordan," she whispered. Malcolm nodded. "I'm Malcolm. I have a hotel a few blocks from here. You can stay there tonight." She glanced at her soaked shoes, then back at her baby, swaddled in a scarf that wasn't his, held by a man she didn't know. But her feet moved. She followed. "A hotel?" Selena asked, her voice thin with suspicion. "What kind of hotel?" Malcolm looked over his shoulder as they walked toward the Range Rover where Aaliyah waited. "The kind I own," he said simply. "The Archer on 5th. My daughter and I will take you there, get you settled, make sure you and Jordan have everything you need for tonight. No strings." Selena stopped walking. People always say that. No strings. But there are always strings. Malcolm turned to face her fully, snow gathering on his shoulders. "The only string," he said, "is that it's Christmas Eve. It's 20 degrees, and your son needs to be warm. Nothing else." A small voice called from the Range Rover. "Daddy, is the baby coming with us?" Malcolm looked back at Aaliyah, then to Selena, his gaze steady. "That's up to his mother." Inside the Range Rover, the world felt surreal, warm, too quiet. Selena curled up in the back seat, watching every move as Malcolm adjusted Jordan's blanket. A little girl peeked over the seat, watching her with wide, curious eyes. "She's so young," Selena murmured. "She's 4, Malcolm replied, catching her gaze in the mirror. "Her name's Aaliyah." Selena nodded. "She's beautiful." For a moment silence settled. Then Aaliyah asked softly, "What's your baby's name?" "Jordan," Selena said. Aaliyah smiled. "He's really tiny, like a snowflake." Malcolm's eyes flicked to the mirror again. Selena was staring out the window, but he saw the shimmer of tears she wouldn't let fall. The Archer Hotel rose before them, elegant and imposing, with its limestone facade and doormen in long coats. Selena's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this. The gleaming brass revolving doors, the marble floors, the crystal chandeliers in the lobby. This wasn't just any hotel. This was luxury. The staff greeted Malcolm with deference. "Mr. Ward, welcome back, sir." Malcolm nodded, guiding Selena toward a private elevator with his hand hovering near but not touching her back. "We need the Aspen suite prepared, James. Extra towels, warm meals sent up, and a bassinet if we have one." "Right away, Mr. Ward." The elevator doors closed, and Selena felt her heart racing. She clutched Jordan tighter. "Who are you?" she whispered. Malcolm looked down at Aaliyah, who was leaning against his leg, half asleep now. "Just someone who couldn't walk by," he said finally. The suite was warm and spacious, with plush furniture and windows overlooking the snowy city. Selena stood awkwardly in the center, afraid to touch anything, afraid this moment would dissolve. Malcolm settled Aaliyah gently on a couch and covered her with his coat before turning to Selena. "The bedroom is through there," he said, pointing to a doorway. "There's a bathroom with a shower. Room service will bring food." "Is there anything specific Jordan needs?" Selena looked down at her son, who was finally warming, his cheeks regaining color. "He needs formula and diapers." Malcolm nodded. "I'll have them sent up. Why are you doing this?" Selena asked suddenly, her voice breaking. Malcolm was quiet for a moment, looking out at the snow. 2 years ago, my wife died giving birth to our second child. The baby didn't survive either. Selena's eyes widened slightly. "I'm not trying to replace them," Malcolm continued, "but I know what it means to be alone on Christmas Eve." Before Selena could respond, a knock came at the door. A hotel employee wheeled in a cart with covered dishes, baby supplies, and fresh towels. Once they were alone again, Malcolm gently lifted Aaliyah. "We'll let you rest," he said. "There's a phone by the bed if you need anything. Just dial 0. Selena felt panic rise in her chest. "You're leaving?" Malcolm nodded. "We live a few blocks away." "You need space, privacy. We'll check on you tomorrow." For a moment, Selena wanted to beg him to stay, afraid of being alone, afraid this sanctuary would vanish. Instead, she straightened her shoulders. "Thank you," she managed. Malcolm paused at the door, Aaliyah sleepy against his shoulder. "Merry Christmas, Selena," he said softly. And then they were gone. Selena had once believed in fairy tales before it all fell apart. She had been a sophomore at Howard University majoring in fine arts. She loved drawing, people, places, moments in between. Her professors praised her work. Then came the promises, the mistakes, the test that turned positive. When she told him, he disappeared. When she told her family, strict, religious, unbending, they gave her an ultimatum. "You've brought shame into this house," her mother had said. "If you keep it, you leave." She left. No money, no support. Just a child she hadn't been ready for and yet couldn't abandon. She bounced between shelters, then the streets. Food went to Jordan. Coats were wrapped around him. Every night was a fight to survive. Christmas Eve was just another night to get through. Until now. Standing in the elegant hotel bathroom, Selena stared at her reflection in the mirror. She barely recognized herself. Thin face, hollow cheeks, dark circles under her eyes. She looked older than her 20 years, worn down by months of survival. With trembling hands, she turned on the shower, letting the room fill with steam. For the first time in weeks, she sat Jordan down, placing him on a bed of towels just outside the shower door where she could see him. He slept peacefully now, his tiny chest rising and falling. The hot water felt like salvation, washing away the grime of the streets, the cold that had settled in her bones. She wept then silently, letting the water mix with her tears, grateful that Jordan couldn't see his mother break. After the shower, wrapped in a plush hotel robe, Selena sat on the edge of the bed, feeding Jordan with the formula the hotel had provided. The warmth, the quiet, the safety. It felt dangerous to accept, dangerous to believe. When Jordan finished eating, his eyes growing heavy again, Selena laid him in the center of the king-sized bed, building a barrier of pillows around him. Then she curled beside him, one hand resting on his chest, afraid to fully fall asleep. But exhaustion won, and for the first time in months, Selena Price slept deeply without fear of what might come in the night. Christmas morning dawned clear and brilliant, sunlight reflecting off fresh snow. Selena woke disoriented, momentarily forgetting where she was. Then she felt the soft mattress beneath her, saw the elegant room around her, and remembered the man, Malcolm Ward, and his daughter with the beautiful curls. Jordan stirred beside her, making small, hungry sounds. As she prepared his formula, a knock came at the door. Selena froze, suddenly aware of how vulnerable she was. She approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. A small face with brown eyes and natural curls stared back, standing on tiptoes to reach the peephole. Selena opened the door slowly to find Aaliyah clutching a gift bag with red tissue paper poking out the top. "Merry Christmas," Aaliyah announced. "I brought presents for Jordan." Behind her stood a woman in her 60s, elegant and poised with silver-streaked hair pulled into a neat bun. She wore a wool coat and a disapproving expression. "Miss Price," the woman said stiffly. "I'm Denise Carter, the ward's housekeeper. I apologize for the intrusion. Miss Aaliyah insisted on delivering her gifts." Selena clutched her robe tighter, suddenly conscious of her appearance. "It's okay," she said, stepping back to let them in. Aaliyah bounded into the room, heading straight for the bed where Jordan lay. "Look how tiny his fingers are," she exclaimed in wonder. Denise remained by the door, her sharp eyes taking in every detail of the suite, noting the untouched food trays from the night before, the baby supplies, Selena's worn clothes draped over a chair. "Mr. Ward asked me to check if you needed anything," she said, her tone formal but not unkind. Selena felt herself shrinking under the woman's gaze. "We're fine," she said quickly. "Please thank him for everything. We'll be out of your way soon." Denise's expression softened slightly. "There's no rush, Miss Price. The suite is paid through the week." Selena's eyes widened. A week in this luxury would cost more than she had seen in months. "I can't accept that," she said automatically. Denise looked at her for a long moment. "Pride is a luxury of those who have options, Miss Price. Sometimes acceptance is the braver choice." Before Selena could respond, Aaliyah called from the bed. "Can Jordan come see our tree? It's really big and has lights that change colors." Denise sighed. "Miss Aaliyah, I'm sure Miss Price and her baby have plans." Selena looked at the little girl's hopeful face, then back to Denise. "Actually, we don't have plans," she said softly. Aaliyah's face lit up. "So you'll come?" Denise's mouth formed a thin line. "That would be Mr. Ward's decision," she said. As if summoned by his name, another knock came at the door. Denise opened it to reveal Malcolm dressed casually in a sweater and jeans, so different from his formal appearance the night before. "I thought I might find you two here," he said with a small smile, first to Denise, then to Aaliyah. His eyes finally settled on Selena. "Merry Christmas," he said warmly. Selena suddenly felt painfully aware of her situation, standing in a borrowed robe in a hotel room she couldn't afford, with a man whose kindness she couldn't understand. "I'm sorry about this," Malcolm said, gesturing to Aaliyah and Denise. Aaliyah was determined to deliver her gifts. "Daddy, can they come see our tree, please?" Aaliyah begged. Malcolm looked at Selena, his expression gentle but questioning. "That's entirely up to Selena," he said. When all eyes turned to her, Selena felt the weight of the moment, of the choice. She could retreat, protect herself and Jordan from further involvement, from the inevitable disappointment when this fairy tale ended. Or she could step forward, accept one more kindness, one more moment of warmth. She thought of the night ahead, alone in this beautiful room, and then the nights after that, back on the streets when the week was over. That would be nice, she heard herself say, if it's not too much trouble. Aaliyah clapped her hands in delight. Denise's expression remained neutral, but her eyes held a warning that Selena understood perfectly. Don't get attached. Don't expect more. "We live just a few blocks away," Malcolm said. "Whenever you're ready." Selena looked down at her worn clothes, suddenly embarrassed. "I don't have anything appropriate to wear." Malcolm seemed to understand her discomfort. "The hotel boutique is open today," he said. Feel free to find something there. Just tell them to charge it to the Aspen Suite. I can't let you do that, Selena protested. Malcolm's expression was kind but firm. Consider it a Christmas gift for both of you. An hour later, Selena stood in the hotel lobby wearing new jeans, a soft cream sweater, and a warm coat. Jordan was bundled in a new snowsuit, tiny mittens covering his hands. The boutique attendant had helped her select everything, never once making her feel like charity. Malcolm and Aaliyah waited for her by the revolving doors, Aaliyah bouncing with excitement. Outside, the Range Rover idled at the curb, its engine a soft hum in the Christmas morning quiet. The ride was short but significant. Each block they traveled showed Selena a world she had once belonged to and lost, the world of comfort, of security, of belonging. When they pulled up to a luxury high-rise overlooking Central Park, Selena's breath caught. "This is where you live?" she asked, unable to hide her awe. Malcolm nodded, helping Aaliyah out of the car. For the past 5 years, yes. A doorman greeted them warmly. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Ward, and Miss Aaliyah." "Merry Christmas, Thomas," Aaliyah replied, reaching for Selena's hand as they entered the lobby. The elevator ride to the penthouse was smooth and silent. Selena felt as though she was floating upward away from reality into some dream she didn't dare believe. When the elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse foyer, Selena froze. Warm light poured across polished hardwood floors. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased a sweeping view of the snow-covered park and the city beyond. In the corner stood a towering Christmas tree glowing with gold and red ornaments. It looked like a scene from a movie. Her breath caught. Malcolm stepped out, carrying Jordan. Aaliyah skipped ahead, calling, "Come on, this is our home." Selena hovered in the doorway, arms crossed tightly. She didn't step inside. Malcolm noticed. "You're safe here," he said gently. Something in his voice, the gentleness of his words, broke through Selena's defenses. She stepped forward into the warmth, into the light. The morning unfolded like a dream. Aaliyah showed Selena every ornament on the tree, explaining each one's history with the solemnness of a museum curator. Denise prepared a Christmas breakfast of pancakes shaped like stars, crisp bacon, and fresh orange juice. Malcolm moved through it all with quiet grace, attentive but not hovering. After breakfast, they gathered in the living room where presents waited under the tree. "Santa came," Aaliyah exclaimed, eyes wide with wonder. Selena sat on the edge of a plush armchair, Jordan sleeping peacefully in her arms, watching as Aaliyah tore through colorful packages. Each gift was met with genuine delight: books, toys, a child-sized easel with paints. Selena's heart ached with a bittersweet mix of joy for Aaliyah and sorrow for what Jordan might never have. As if reading her thoughts, Malcolm appeared beside her, holding a small wrapped package. "This is for Jordan," he said softly. "And there's something for you too." Selena stared at the package, unable to speak. Her fingers trembled as she took it, carefully balancing Jordan in one arm. Inside was a tiny silver rattle, elegant and simple. "It was Aaliyah's when she was a baby," Malcolm explained. "I thought Jordan might like it." Selena felt tears threatening again, but she held them back. "Thank you," she managed. Malcolm nodded toward another package on a side table. "That one's yours if you'd like to open it." Curious, Selena went to the table. The package was flat and rectangular, wrapped in simple silver paper. With care, she unwrapped it, revealing a leather-bound sketchbook and a set of professional drawing pencils. She looked up at Malcolm in surprise. "Aaliyah mentioned you were an art student," he explained. "I thought you might like to draw again." Selena ran her fingers over the smooth leather cover, the high-quality paper within. It had been so long since she'd held proper art supplies, so long since she had allowed herself to create rather than simply survive. For the first time since entering the penthouse, she smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Thank you," she said, and this time her voice was steady. The next morning came with fresh snow and new beginnings. Selena packed the few belongings they now had, the clothes from the hotel boutique, the sketchbook and pencils, Jordan's new rattle. It wasn't much, but it was more than they'd had 2 days ago. Denise appeared at her door, her expression softer than it had been the day before. "The car will be ready in an hour, Miss Price. I've prepared some breakfast for you in the kitchen." "Thank you, Mrs. Carter," Selena replied. The older woman hesitated, then said, "Mr. Ward is a good man, sometimes too good for his own welfare. He sees the best in people, even when they might not deserve it." Selena understood the warning behind the words. "I don't intend to take advantage of his kindness," she said quietly. Denise studied her for a moment. "I believe you don't," she said finally. "But intentions and outcomes aren't always the same thing." Before Selena could respond, Jordan began to fuss. Denise nodded once and left, her message delivered. In the kitchen, Selena found Malcolm already dressed in a casual sweater and jeans, helping Aaliyah with her breakfast. The sight was oddly domestic, oddly painful in its normality, a family moment she had never experienced with her own child. Malcolm looked up as she entered, his smile warm. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" Selena nodded, settling Jordan in her arms as she took a seat at the island. "Better than I have in months, thank you." Breakfast was simple but delicious. Warm croissants, fresh fruit, steaming coffee. Aaliyah chatted about everything and nothing, her innocent chatter filling what might have been awkward silence. As they prepared to leave, Malcolm's phone rang. His expression shifted as he answered, professional and focused. "Terrence," he said, his voice taking on an edge Selena hadn't heard before. "Yes, I understand the urgency. No, it can't wait until tomorrow." He covered the phone with his hand and looked apologetically at Selena and Aaliyah. "I'm sorry. This is important. A business matter that can't wait. Denise will take you both to Connecticut. I'll join you tomorrow." Selena felt a strange disappointment, but nodded her understanding. "Of course. Thank you again for everything." Malcolm knelt to hug Aaliyah goodbye, whispering something in her ear that made her giggle. Then he straightened, his eyes meeting Selena's. "You're doing the right thing," he said softly. "For both of you." Selena knew he meant accepting help, accepting this chance. She wanted to believe him, needed to believe him. As the elevator doors closed, separating them from Malcolm and the penthouse, Selena felt both relief and trepidation. The fairy tale wasn't ending yet, but reality was beginning to seep in around the edges. She clutched Jordan closer, breathing in his sweet baby scent. Whatever came next, they would face it together. They always had. The drive to Connecticut stretched before them, taking Selena and Jordan further from the city that had been both their prison and their home for so many months. Through the window of the Range Rover, Selena watched as urban landscapes gave way to suburbs, then to the rolling hills and bare winter trees of rural Connecticut. Aaliyah had fallen asleep beside her, worn out by the excitement of Christmas and the prospect of showing Selena and Jordan their new temporary home. Denise drove in silence, occasionally glancing in the rearview mirror as if checking that Selena was still there, still real. The Ward estate appeared suddenly around a bend in the road, stone gates opening to a long, tree-lined drive that wound up to a magnificent stone manor house. Selena's breath caught at the sight. This wasn't just wealth. This was generational prosperity, the kind she had only ever seen in films. Denise didn't drive to the main house, however. She followed a smaller path that branched from the main drive, leading through a stand of bare maple trees to a clearing where a charming 2-story cottage stood. It was smaller than the manor, but still substantial, a stone and timber structure with large windows and a wraparound porch. "This is the guest house," Denise explained, parking in front. It was originally the caretaker's cottage. Mr. Ward had it renovated a few years ago. Selena stepped out of the car, Jordan bundled against her chest and stared at what would be their home for the next month. It was more beautiful than anything she could have imagined, rustic but elegant, welcoming, and solid. Aaliyah woke with the stopping of the car and immediately scrambled out, eager to be the tour guide. "Come see, Selena. Come see inside." The interior was even more charming. An open floor plan with a large stone fireplace dominating one wall, comfortable furniture in soft neutrals, a kitchen with gleaming appliances. Upstairs were 2 bedrooms and a bathroom with a clawfoot tub. Everything spoke of thoughtful design, of creating a space that felt like home. "There's food in the refrigerator and pantry," Denise explained, moving efficiently through the rooms, linens in the closet upstairs. "The phone connects directly to the main house if you need anything." Selena stood in the center of the living room, overwhelmed. This place, this beautiful, warm place would be theirs for a whole month. A sanctuary, a reprieve. "Thank you," she whispered. Denise's expression softened slightly. "Mr. Ward asked me to make sure you and the baby had everything you needed. Is there anything else?" Selena looked around at the comfort, the security, the beauty. "No," she said softly. "This is more than enough." That evening, after Denise and Aaliyah had returned to the main house, after Jordan had been fed and bathed in the deep sink of the cottage kitchen, after darkness had fallen over the estate, Selena stood at the windows looking out at the night. The moon cast silver light across the snowy grounds, illuminating the bare branches of trees, the gentle slope of hills, the distant silhouette of the main house. It was peaceful in a way the city never was, quiet in a way that made her heart ache. She thought of Malcolm Ward, of his kindness, his gentle eyes, the sadness that seemed to live just beneath his smile. She thought of Aaliyah, bright and innocent, reaching for Jordan with such natural affection. She thought of the path that had led her here, to this moment, to this place. A month, she reminded herself. Just a month to rebuild, to plan, to find a way forward that didn't lead back to that cold bench. With Jordan sleeping soundly in a proper crib for the first time in his life, Selena returned to her sketchbook. As pencil met paper, as lines formed into shapes, shapes into images, she felt something long dormant stirring within her. Not just the artist's skill, but the artist's hope, the belief that beauty could be created even from pain, that something meaningful could emerge from the broken pieces of a life. She drew until her eyes grew heavy, until the fire in the grate burned down to embers, until the moon had traveled halfway across the night sky. She drew the cottage, the trees, the moon on snow. She drew Jordan sleeping peacefully, his tiny face relaxed in dreams. She drew hands, her own, weathered by months of hardship, Jordan's perfect and new, and from memory, Malcolm's, strong and gentle as they cradled her son. Finally, she drew herself, not as she was now, thin and weary, but as she might be, could be someday. Standing tall, Jordan in her arms, facing forward into light. When she finally closed the sketchbook and made her way upstairs to bed, Selena felt something she hadn't felt in a very long time, the quiet certainty that tomorrow would come, and that it might bring something other than struggle. For the first time since Jordan was born, Selena Price fell asleep with hope.